Hi, my name is Jerry. This is my testimony.
Hi, I'm Catherine, and this is why I'll be getting baptized today.
I was first introduced to Christianity through my friend Luke. He had brought up his beliefs before and I thought nothing of it, but later on I came to see everything as he does.
My first exposure to Christianity was when I was around 8 when I went to my Korean church. I attended the services every Sunday, blindly following my parents, memorizing Bible verses because I was told to do so, and blindly singing to worship. When I was 13, there was a pivotal moment where I was chosen to pray for my small group, and I suddenly couldn't, as I realized that I didn't believe in God's existence. My reasoning was that it felt disrespectful to pray for an entity that I didn't believe in, so I freaked out because I didn't know how to refuse. I don't exactly remember anymore how I got out of that situation, but that drove me to not going to church for the next 7 years.
I first talked to Christ after some sort of a breakdown towards the end of last year. I asked him to come into my life because I was tired of the way I'd lived it. Although my mother was a Buddhist and my father an atheist, I've been trying to seek out a path that I was unfamiliar with. So I decided to try and pray to Jesus because my friend Luke had spoken of him before.
During these 7 years, I was constantly curious about religions and was pulled towards trying a different church to give Christianity one more go. In 2017, I met Gordon, and he was the first person to invite me back to a church, this one. At the time, I didn't go, so he invited me again in 2020. And that's when I came to Northcross Church for the first time. I felt incredibly welcomed by everyone I met that day. I remember stepping into the service hall and feeling something that I now know to be the Holy Spirit. I immediately felt as though I was unconditionally accepted, no matter what my beliefs at the time. It was then I met Mark Sue and Amori and Mesa, who played a huge part in challenging my agnostic beliefs and answering all my questions surrounding the fundamental backgrounds of Christianity.
I was introduced to the Alpha group here in Northcross through a friend of my mother's. Although my mother still is a Buddhist, she supported my decision to seek out my own faith. The course solidified my belief in the Lord after a sudden lesson, which had the message of opening the door of our heart to Jesus, and I became committed to following him.
And then maybe it was all God's plan, but in 2020 I had signed up to do the Religious Studies Scholarship exam at the end of high school, where I ended up convincing myself of God's existence during the exam. I remember feeling a rush of emotion in the middle of writing it and almost couldn't believe it myself. At this point, I believed in God's existence, but because I was quite new to being a Christian, I drifted away from God before I even got to know him that well. And just as I started to want to come back to church, Mesa asked me if I could sing at youth camp of 2021. I gladly accepted and was not prepared for what was about to happen. During the message on the second night, I heard a voice that I immediately knew was God's. The speaker said one thing, but all I could hear was a very loud and reverberating, "Let go and you will get what you need." After the talk, I ran outside and couldn't really control my tears as I was explaining what I had just experienced to Isabel. That's when I knew to give my life to Christ, and that was also when I finally realized what it means to fear and love God. I have since then dedicated myself to becoming more confident in being a child of God, and now I'm more comfortable with prayer, Bible reading, and sharing my faith with those around me.
I wanted to get baptized, so I asked the group chat that the Alpha course had, and some of the members gave me a link to have a look at Pastor Han talking about baptism. He mentioned the story about the baptism of the Ethiopian eunuch, and I'd simply acknowledged the story and thought nothing more of it. However, a few days later I came across the exact same passage used in a different context after praying for the next step in my life in a video by Cliff Knechtel as an example of Christianity's influence on different races. I thought this was too specific to just be a coincidence, and it really solidified my decision to follow Jesus. And so because of that, I decided to reach out to Han about getting baptized.
Once I started feeling more confident in my faith, I got pulled towards wanting to serve the church, driving me to join the worship team. All of these events and more have driven me to this point, and I am extremely grateful to everyone mentioned, as well as Pastor Han, Hannah, Becky, Lavender, and Grace, who have also hugely encouraged me to get to this point, and my family who have been patient with me.
I've been gradually growing in obedience through prayer and resisting temptation after accepting Christ into my life, and I'm becoming more involved with the Christian community, as well as making more connections with those around me.
Before I get baptized, I would like to say the Bible verse that sums up my journey in meeting Christ pretty well. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13. Knowing that God has always been with me every step of the way to this point amazes me, because it shows that it was always His plan for me to find Him.
I'm proud to say that I am Christian and will follow the Lord's teachings to the best of my abilities. The symbol of a Christian's obedience is the process of baptism, which is the command I am in the process of obeying.
So tonight, I'll be getting baptized with all of you as my witnesses to declare myself as Christian, and that I'll continue to seek, follow, and obey Jesus.